every case, okay? We will win. Because make no mistake, we are just beginning in our fight to make America great again. Now, before we talk about my first 100 days, which has been very exciting and very productive, let's rate the media's 100 days. Should we do that? Should we do it? Because, as you know, they are a disgrace. According to a Morning Consult poll, more than half of Americans say the media is out of touch with everyday Americans, and they've proven that. According to Media Research Center, 89% of the media's coverage of our administration has been negative and purposely negative. And perhaps that's because, according to the Center for Public Integrity, 96% of journalists who made donations in the last election gave them to our opponent. Does anybody remember who our opponent was? Huh? That was some opponent. Finally, according to a poll last year from the Associated Press, only 6% of Americans have a lot of confidence in America. That's very bad. That's much lower than Congress, by the way. But I'll give you an example of something really incredible. That's right. Get them out of here. Get them out. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Do we love our law enforcement or what? And I want to thank the fire marshals. They have a lot of people standing outside. We really maxed out. We broke the all-time record for this arena. How old is this arena? This is not it. We broke the all-time record. And I don't have a guitar, which is pretty tough, right? So just as an example of media, take the totally failing New York Times. Pretty soon they'll only be on the internet. The paper's getting smaller and smaller. You ever notice? Starting to look like a comic book. It's getting smaller. But I will tell you, because I watched, and I used to be in the real estate business, they sold their beautiful New York Times building in Manhattan. A cathedral to journalism, such a beautiful, beautiful building, for around $130 million. And a group that bought it later sold it for approximately $500 million. And now they live in a very ugly office building in a crummy location. Next, they buy the Boston Globe newspaper with losses for $1.3 billion, invest millions and millions and millions of dollars to get it going, and in the end, they sell it for zero. They give it away. And then they write nasty editorials and op-eds telling me how I should be handling world events and our country. Tell me. But that's what we have. They're incompetent, dishonest people who, after an election, had to apologize because they covered it, us, me, but all of us. They covered it so badly that they felt they were forced to apologize because their predictions were so bad. You remember their predictions? They lost a lot of people because of the way they covered. So here's the story. If the media's job is to be honest and tell the truth, then I think we would all agree the media deserves a very, very big, fat, failing grave. Very dishonest people, and not all of them. You know, we call it the fake news. Not all of them. Do you notice now everybody's using the word fake news? Where did you hear it first, folks? By contrast, for the last 100 days, my administration has been delivering every single day for the great citizens of our country. Whether it's putting our coal miners back to work, protecting America's steel and aluminum workers, we love that steel and aluminum, or eliminating job-killing regulations, we are keeping one promise after another, and frankly, the people are really happy about it. They see what's happening. But to understand the historic progress that we've made, we must speak honestly about the situation that we and I inherited. Because believe me, the previous administration gave us a mess. For decades, our country has lived through the greatest jobs theft in the history of the world. You people know it better than anybody in Pennsylvania. Our factories were shuttered, our steel mills closed down, and our jobs were stolen away and shipped far away to other countries, some of which you've never even heard of. Politicians sent troops to protect the borders of foreign nations, but left America's borders wide open for all to violate. We've spent billions and billions of dollars on one global project after another, and yet, as gangs flooded into our country, we couldn't even provide safety for our own people. Our government rushed to join international agreements where the United States pays the costs and bears the burdens, while other countries get the benefit and pay nothing. This includes deals like the one-sided Paris Climate Accord, where the United States pays billions of dollars while China, Russia, and India have contributed and will contribute nothing. Does that remind you of the Iran deal? How about that beauty, right? On top of all of that, it's estimated that full compliance with the agreement could ultimately shrink America's GDP by $2.5 trillion over a 10-year period. That means factories and plants closing all over our country. Here we go again. Not with me, folks. Those are the facts, whether we like them or not. The dishonest media won't print them, won't report them, because the Washington media is part of the problem. Their priorities are not my priorities, and they're not your priorities, believe me. Their agenda is not your agenda. And I'll be making a big decision on the Paris Accord over the next 2 weeks. And we will see what happens. But they're all part of a broken system that has profited from this global theft and plunder of American wealth at the expense of the American worker. We are not going to let other countries take advantage of us anymore, because from now on, it's going to be America first. And I have to. And I have to just interject, because as you know, I've been a big critic of China. And I've been talking about currency manipulation for a long time. But I have to tell you that during the election, number one, they stopped. But more importantly, just to show you the dishonesty. So we have currency manipulation by China. But China is helping us, possibly or probably, with the North Korean situation. Okay? Which is a great thing. Right. And I met with the president of China at great length in Florida, and we had long, long talks, hours and hours and hours. He's a good man. Now he's representing China. He's not representing us, but he's a good man. And I believe he wants to get that situation taken care of. They have tremendous power, and we'll see what happens. But the media said Donald Trump refuses to name China a currency manipulator. Now think of this, right? Now we have to have a little flexibility. So I meet with the president of China, and I say, could you help us out with North Korea? You know, you give them 93% of their different materials that they need and their food, and you have a lot of power. We have a great relationship. And then the media said, why didn't he call Donald Trump? And why didn't Donald Trump at a meeting say you're a currency manipulator? So here's the story. Listen, Mr. President, will you help us out with North Korea? But by the way, you're manipulating your currency. It doesn't work, right? So instead of, you understand. So instead of saying that, let's see what happens. I honestly believe that he's trying very hard. Not an easy situation for China, believe me. Not an easy situation. But we have somebody there who's causing a lot of trouble for the world. We have China, who is really trying to help us. You've seen they've sent back vast amounts of coal coming out of North Korea. So let's see what happens. And I think it's not exactly the right time to call China a currency manipulator right now. Do we agree with that? But they never say that. They say, why didn't he do it? So I promised you in my inaugural address 100 days ago that now arrives the hour of action. And we've, believe me, started from day one. And that is what we've delivered, 100 days of action. In fact, those people and others are exhausted. They've never seen anything like that. They've never seen anything like this. We are ending the offshoring and bringing back our beautiful, wonderful, great American jobs. We are eradicating the criminal gangs and cartels that have infiltrated our country. You're reading about them all the time. Some of you have big problems with them. Thank you for that sign. Blacks for Trump. I love that guy. Blacks for Trump. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, man. That's great. That's really cool. I appreciate it. And we're taking steps to renegotiate or cancel any agreement that fails to protect American interests. Here are just some of our great achievements from the first 100 days. And I will tell you, in addition to that, we have built such strong foundations with the leaders of foreign countries, and we're set to rock. But we have great relationships with Germany and Japan and China and so many others. The UK, such great relationships. That's part of the process. We've appointed and confirmed a brand new Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Justice Neil Gorsuch, who will uphold the Constitution and the right of Americans to govern their own affairs. And the last time a new Supreme Court justice was confirmed in the first 100 days was 136 years ago in 1881, and I was devastated to hear that because I thought I'd be the only one to have done that. A long time ago. To protect our jobs and our economic freedom, I immediately withdrew the United States from the horrible, disastrous, would have been another NAFTA but worse, Trans-Pacific Partnership. That would have taken your jobs in Pennsylvania, that I can tell you. That was a total hoax. The TPP would have been a tremendous disaster for our country, and we are not going to surrender Pennsylvania jobs ever again. We've done that once before. It's not going to happen. We've just launched an investigation into foreign steel dumping and aluminum dumping throughout our country. We are reviewing every single trade deal, and wherever there is cheating, we will take immediate action and there will be penalties. And we have with us tonight Secretary of Commerce Wilbur Ross and one of the great people on fair trade and good trade, Mr. Peter Navarro. Thank you. Thank you. And we will renegotiate NAFTA, and if we don't get a good deal and a fair deal for our country, and I've been saying for a long time, we'll either renegotiate or we'll terminate. I announced the other day we were going to terminate. Everybody said we'll terminate. Two people that I like very much, the President of Mexico, Prime Minister of Canada, they called up. They said, could we negotiate? I said, yes, we can renegotiate. So we'll start a renegotiation, and hopefully it'll be fair for everybody. And if it's not a fair deal for our country, because you have to understand, we have been on the wrong side of the NAFTA deal with Canada and with Mexico for many, many years, many decades. We can't allow it to happen. So we're going to renegotiate, and if we can't make a fair deal for our companies and our workers, we will terminate NAFTA, okay? Our directives will put brand new Pennsylvania steel into the spine of America. We've ordered billions and billions of dollars in unpaid duties to be collected at the border from countries that break the rules, and that just started. It's going to be a lot coming in. We just want fairness, and I followed through on my promise and issued a new government directive to buy American and hire American. In just these first few months, We've created 99,000 new construction jobs, 49,000 new manufacturing jobs, and 27,000 new mining jobs. Who are the miners here? The miners, finally. We're taking care of our miners. We love our miners. And we have over 600,000 new jobs. And by the way, the stock market since our election is through the roof. I believe from the point of the election, isn't it too bad that the Obama administration gets a lot of credit for those couple of months? But it's all right, because we're doing fine, but they get credit for that because people started going wild with the stock. But I believe we have a record from the time we got elected, from November 8th. We have a record, an all-time record, for the biggest increase in the stock market. So I'm very happy about that. We've removed the shackles on energy exploration imposed by the last administration, lifting the restrictions on the production of oil, shale, and natural gas. And very importantly for Pennsylvania, we have ended the war on beautiful clean coal, and we are putting our great coal miners back to work. We love our miners. I'm also very pleased to say that we have finally cleared the way for the construction of the Keystone XL and Dakota Access pipelines, 48,000 new jobs. They couldn't get their approvals. We got them their approvals in 24 hours, one day. And I want to tell you, the heads of those two companies, they didn't know what the hell happened. They said, how did this happen? They should go to bed and say their prayers. But that's going to be approximately 48,000 jobs. My administration has also scrapped a job-killing regulation that was threatening our auto workers. We want more cars made in the USA, and that's going to happen. We've created a new rule which requires that for every one new regulation, 2 old regulations must be eliminated. And we have signed massive executive orders clearing up the environmental bureaucracy. We're going to have jobs, and you're seeing them already. We've also been very busy on the legislative front, which we have gotten no credit for, and yet I am signing away. I've signed 29 new bills, a record not surpassed since the Truman administration. This includes 13 resolutions to eliminate intrusive federal regulations, the most ever signed in our history. In keeping our promise to our veterans, I've signed legislation to extend veterans' choice, and David, the head of the Veterans Administration, is here with us tonight. David Shulkin. Did an incredible job. And we've increased by 42% the approval for veterans using the Choice program. I've also created an Office of Accountability at the VA. Our message to federal workers is clear. If you fail our veterans, you will be held accountable. First time. To create accountability across government, I've issued a 5-year ban on federal officials becoming lobbyists after they leave government service. Good? I've got a lot of people in my staff who are not exactly happy with that one, but that's okay. And I've issued a lifetime ban on federal officials becoming lobbyists for a foreign government. I've imposed these bans for a simple reason. It is time to drain the swamp and that's what we're doing in Washington, D.C. Perhaps in no area have past governments sold out special interests and foreign lobbyists more than on the issue of immigration. Year after year, you pleaded for Washington to enforce our laws. As illegal immigration surged, refugees flooded in, and lax vetting threatened your family's safety and security. Your pleas have finally been, oh, don't worry, we're going to have the wall. Don't worry about it. You know, we've done so well at the border. A lot of people are saying, oh, wow, maybe the president doesn't need the wall. We need the wall to stop the drugs and the human trafficking. We need the wall. In just 100 days, we have taken historic steps to secure our border, imposed needed immigration control like you've never seen before. Is that true? And properly screen and vet those seeking admission into our country. They are going to come in because they love our country. We're not taking them otherwise. We are operating on a very simple principle that our immigration system should put the needs of American workers, American families, American companies, and American citizens first. I appointed a great military general. So here it is, the snake. It's called the snake.
Donald Trump.
On her way to work
Talking
one
about the
morning,
snake.
down the path,
The Native
along
American
the lake, a tender-hearted
called him
woman
the snake.
saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty-colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, she cried, I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. The border. Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in,
This
oh
is
tender
Trump
woman.
talking.
Sighed the vicious snake.
This is Trump talking
She wrapped him up all
about the
cozy
snake.
in a comforter of silk,
And that's what he's talking
and
about.
laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk.
Mm-hmm.
She hurried home from work that night, and as soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived.
Mm-hmm.
Take me in, oh tender woman. Take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman.
That
Sighed that
speech came
vicious
from black
snake.
folks. Trump turned
She
it
clutched
around.
him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, oh heavens, you would have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed him and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake
bit
gave
her.
her a vicious bite.
That's
Take me in, oh tender woman.
Donald Trump
Take
talking.
me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, oh tender woman. Sighed the vicious snake. I have saved you, cried the woman. And you've bitten me, heavens why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Oh, shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in.
And Donald Trump is a snake, so they took him in. And this poem go with him. American.
Well, you have just heard there
Yeah, the
Donald
American
Trump speaking in
should,
Pennsylvania with his
American
speech marking
need to,
100 days in office. We are going straight to Washington to our correspondent, Gallagher
and
Fenwick.
Americans should have known Donald Trump was a snake. And that poem that he wrote was a poem that he told Americans, y'all took me in as president, I'm biting you, so you know that I was a damn snake. That's what he just said. I want to say the 100 days of Trump administration. I want to talk about what had happened. Number one, we went 19 times down to Florida. That was $60 million he spent. He dropped that missile. That was another $60 million. And he put 6 Scud missiles, and that was $60 million, $1 million apiece. So his money he done racked up personally for himself and for the government is out of the pocket. And what he doing now, the men that was in the coal field had come out and they was getting payment because someone got black lung diseases. He done reversed that, so they got to go back to work. And the steel was coming from China, Russia, over here. He bought some of it to build his buildings. So Trump is speaking about the snake, but he's really speaking about himself. And I want to let you know, the 100, they say he's been in office for the first 100 days have been disaster. No jobs in Chicago, no jobs in New York, no new jobs in California, no new jobs in Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, Louisiana, Las Vegas. No new job for the young folks. And they had a sign that said, blacks love Trump. I don't see what blacks love Trump or love Democrats or Republicans. We love those that can bring jobs home, can bring something back to the black America. And with the violence that's going on in Detroit, in Chicago, in Los Angeles, in New York, and with the police is not being monitored, and with soldiers dying, and by friendly fire, that their own men shooting them because they too progressive, not analysts. The 100 days in the White House have been disasters. It's been really off the chain, not for America, for Trump and all the people he put in. And everybody he put in office is millionaires. It's not one person he put in office that that is poor or middle class. All rich folks he put in, all folks he put on his cabinet is millionaires from one to from one to two. So, and some of them already, like Flynn, is already getting money from foreign government, been getting it, and Trump hadn't released his tax yet. He's the snake, and he's not talking about. I like the poem that he wrote, but that poem was wrote by a black man many years ago. It was wrote by a black man, and it wasn't written that way. The way we got it, the lady was on her way, the man was on his way to work, he seen the snake was froze. Took the snake and put it in his bosom. And he put the snake in his bosom, then the snake threw it out. He's the snake I have, and the snake bit him. And he said, why did you bite me? The snake said, you know that I was a snake when you picked me up. And that's the end of that story. But you know, when white folks get a story, they like to add more to it because they're professional liars. And you know, Trump is one of the biggest liars I ever seen in my life. And I want to keep it personal and in the spirit of St. Michael, Gabriel, and Metatron. And this is the year of the rooster. And that's where you see behind me the pyramid in Egypt, and the angels lighting down. One angel is Michael, one angel Gabriel, and one angel is Metatron. And as I speak today, we've been having storms and floods all over this country. You know, when people don't acknowledge God, and Trump have not acknowledged God at all, Trump is a continual lie about what he do and lie about what he said. So we're living in a situation now where we might be in a war at any time because the whole government is unstable and the people that running the government is not professional people. They're people out of corporate ways, and from the corporate, they're not doing. The lady put over education. She don't know about education, and Tilly put over. Uh, he have been traveling, so he know all the countries. But there's so many people, like his daughter and his son, they're flying on government money. They're sitting in meetings they shouldn't be sitting in. But I hold the Democratic Party and the Senate and the Congress cause of that because they're not doing it. If Obama had been in and did that, they would have impeached him. And anybody talk about Trump tax. Nobody talk about Trump's set the oil or the Keystone pipeline that if a disaster comes, what would be the consequence? They're not thinking about that. And my thing is the Native American, they running the pipeline under the Native American burial ground, going right through there. You know, when they knocked down the Jewish stone, everybody was all upset. What about the Native American up in South Dakota, North Dakota, going through the Holy Land, going through the Badlands, and going through right through their burial ground? You know what I'm saying? 100 days of Trump has been a disaster, and I imagine what it's going to be another 100 days. I don't see nothing he is doing but sending out lots of lies, lots of propaganda, and talking about the press getting fake press, and he's fighting NBC, he's fighting all the news media, and he's a dictator. He don't want nobody to know what he's doing. He don't want the press to go with him. The press is the people that find out what's going on in the government. He don't want you to know what's going on in the White House, who's meeting with him. And he said he ain't taking no money. He ain't got to take no money. He just spent $60 billion already just going down to Florida and having golf, playing golf, and setting golf courses all over the country. My thing with that, Trump has been, well, it's 100 days. It's 100 days in the White House have not been up for the people. It's 100 days in the White House. It's not been acceptable to the American people. Now, he said he's going to build a wall. I want to know, is the wall to keep us in or keep somebody out? Why is he building the wall, and why he's jumping on the Muslims, saying that he's going to keep them out when they're already in? They're already in. So my thing is, what is his angle, and what he's trying to do to build America or tie America down? I'm concerned about Trump and what Trump's going to do to help the black community, what he's going to do to create jobs in America, and not jobs for the big companies. He claimed 4,000 or 5,000 jobs, General Motors, but I don't see it. I don't see the plants coming up, and I don't see it doing until we can see. And that snake story told that very well could be him, saying, y'all got me now. Y'all know I was a snake when you got me in. Because Native American called the whole White House snakes. And he said swamp, he's the man that created the swamp. So what I'm saying is lots going on, but we have to stay focused and looking. 100 days of his president have not been for the people, by the people. The 100 days of his president is that he's been doing what he want to do. I want you to get ready for, in Jeremiah said, decree, God told Jeremiah to decree to the nation. I'm going to decree to the nation tonight that all truth come out. I'm going to decree to the nation that truth will come out. I'm going to decree to the nation that the 100 days of Trump, those 100 days will bring out the truth, and all the lies that have been told will be brought out. So I come today to you in Chicago, Detroit, you that's in Mississippi, Arkansas, wherever you might be. I'm praying that the truth will come out. And going into May, that we will bring out the truth. Right now, we're in the midst of a murder. We got 150 people been murdered here in Chicago right now. We got 800 been injured. Yes, we need the truth to come in, or we need the president to send some money in to Chicago to create some programs and jobs for our young folks that can get out of school for the summer. Stop the killing, save the babies. We got to talk about human rights, the rights for a man and woman to live. I think that's the most important thing for us to do today is be involved in releasing global healing all over the country, and that we might be able to relax and do something special. So Trump 100 days in the White House has been a total disaster, and it seems like that it's getting over and over. So I'm asking you to join in with us as we stop the killing and save the babies. This is Bishop Turner with the Block Talk Radio, and I want you to subscribe to us, melanated people all over the country, and be listening to what we're doing. This ticket just go out for you, Mary just go out for you, and every person that just go out for in the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King, in the spirit of Paul Laurence Dunbar Robeson, in the spirit of Nat Turner, in the spirit of all our ancestry. The report is the 100 days in the White House, he got a failing grade from the black community. I don't see he getting a failing grade because it's all talk, no action. He said he talked about Chicago, he never did come. All he do talk about what Obama do, ain't worried about what Obama did. The past administration, we want to know what the present administration is going to do to help overcome the crime, the housing, and right now we got people in Flint with bad water, people down in St. Joe, Louisiana with bad water, and Hammond, Louisiana got people with bad water, and other things coming up in Atlanta, in Florida with the diseases and the drug addiction, and he got to deal with that. And if you're going to deal with the cartels that are coming in, they all got to be run out. And the gun lobby, he's with the gun lobby, and he studied, so he with them, but about many guns and rifles being killed, people being killed by right here in America. So stop the killing, save the babies, get ready for a new doodle overview. And I want to tell you, in the spirit of Saint Martin Luther King Jr., that we open up a dialogue with you. Call me at 773-629-0005. That's 629-005773. Call me where I can begin to have a dialogue with you on Mondays of Dr. King movement. I want to get you involved in the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. movement where we can start to addressing some of these issues that's going on in Atlanta, Georgia, that's going on in Alabama, that's going on in Tennessee, going on in Mississippi, going on in Texas, going on in Las Vegas, going on in Illinois, going on in the state of Michigan, going on in Las Vegas, and going on across the length and breadth of this nation, that we can take our country back in New York State, when we can deal with what's happening in Arkansas, happening in New Orleans, what's happening in all our major cities, that we can begin to organize and begin to move forward. And we are ready to speak out about what's going on in our country, so we need your help. We need to become involved with the killings all over the world, so we need you. And we're praying for peace. And in the spirit that we need to get back in the streets Stop the killing in Inglewood, Lawndale, Roseland, up in New York, down in Boston, down in Maryland, up in Washington, D.C., Washington State. These are the places we have to go and declare peace. We can't wait on Trump to stand and talk good and go to the golf range like he's going to play golf every day and get something done. The people, by the people, for the people, to do what we need to do. And I think that's the most important thing that we have to take care of now.